Hello, and welcome to Bedtime Fears. Find your most comfortable position and let the day's clutter fade from your mind. Tonight's story isn't about a haunted house in the traditional sense. It's about a set of instructions, a guidebook for coexisting with the past. It's a story designed to pull you into a state of deep, secure rest through the power of ritual and routine. So, get cozy, and if these gentle tales help you find peace, subscribing supports the channel. Now, let's dim the lights and step across the threshold of a house that operates on a very specific set of rules. The inheritance is this: a set of keys, a lease for a charming, Victorian-style house at a price that seems too good to be true, and a single, crisp, typewritten page. You find it taped to the inside of the empty kitchen cabinet under the sink, the first place you look for cleaning supplies. The heading is simple: Rules for the House. You read them, a smile touching your lips. They seem like the eccentricities of a fussy, previous tenant. Always knock 3 times before entering the basement. Wait for the echo. Never answer the landline phone after midnight. Let it ring. A glass of water must be left on the bedside table overnight. The rocking chair in the living room is not to be used. If you hear humming from the attic, hum back. You dismiss them as quirks. You're tired from moving. You unpack a single box, eat a sandwich for dinner, and as night falls, you fill a glass from the tap and place it on your bedside table, not out of obedience, but because you're thirsty. You fall into an exhausted sleep in the strange, quiet house. You do not knock before going into the basement to check the furnace, and you do not wait for an echo. The house, for its part, says nothing. It simply watches, and it waits. The first night is always a grace period. The rhythm of rules becomes your new, unspoken reality. The first few days are a period of adjustment, not just for you, but for the house itself. You remember to leave the glass of water out, mostly out of habit now. In the morning, it's always empty. Not just drank from empty, but bone dry, as if the water had never been there at all. You find this more curious than alarming. It's a neat trick, a mystery. You are more careful with the basement door. You feel a little silly, standing there in your own home, but you rap your knuckles 3 times against the old wood. Knock, knock, knock. The sound is swallowed by the door. You wait, and then, a moment later, a perfect, faint echo of your 3 knocks returns to you. Not from the basement, but from the door itself, vibrating softly under your fingertips. A shiver, not entirely unpleasant, runs down your spine. You open the door. The air in the basement is still and cold, but it feels permitted. The other rules settle into a strange domestic rhythm. The landline phone, a relic you didn't think still worked, rings sharply at 12:07 a.m. on your 3rd night. You sit bolt upright in bed, your heart hammering. The sound is brutally loud in the sleeping house. You remember the rule. Let it ring. You clutch your blanket, counting the rings. 7, 8, 9. On the 12th ring, it stops. The silence that follows is profound and carries a subtle sense of approval. The rocking chair in the living room remains still. You find yourself walking around it, giving it a wide berth. You haven't heard any humming from the attic. Yet, the house is testing you, and you are, slowly and uncertainly, learning its language. It's less about fear and more about learning the etiquette of a shared living space with a very particular and unseen roommate. The first test happens because of a laundry basket. You're carrying a heavy load down the hall, your arms full, and you need to get to the basement to start a wash. The basket is awkward, and your mind is on the chores ahead. You reach the basement door, fumble with the knob, and push it open without a second thought. You take 2 steps down before it hits you. You forgot to knock. The change is not dramatic, but it is immediate and unmistakable. The air, which a moment before had been neutral, grows heavy and still. The gentle, ambient sounds of the house, the hum of the refrigerator, the tick of a clock, seem to pause. It feels as if the entire structure has frozen mid-breath. From the darkness of the basement below, a wave of cool air washes over you, carrying with it a distinct sensation, not of anger, but of profound disappointment. It's the feeling you'd get if you'd broken a promise to someone who trusted you. You stand frozen on the steps, the laundry basket feeling suddenly like a lead weight. You quickly back out, closing the door softly. You feel a flush of embarrassment, as if you've been caught trespassing in your own home. You raise your hand and, with a newfound respect, deliver 3 firm knocks. Knock, knock, knock. You wait. The silence stretches. No echo returns. The house is giving you the silent treatment. After a long minute, you open the door again. The cold, disappointed feeling is gone, replaced by a watchful, waiting neutrality. The house has noted your transgression. The grace period is officially over. From now on, the rules are not suggestions. They are the terms of your tenancy. The nocturnal sounds begin that very night. Lying in bed, you are hyper-aware of every whisper and shift in the old house. Before, the creaks and groans were random, the natural music of an aging structure. Now, they have purpose. You hear it first around 2 a.m., a soft, shuffling footstep in the hallway. It's not the frantic scampering of a rodent or the sharp crack of settling timber. It is the deliberate, patient sound of something moving from one point to another. It pauses outside your bedroom door. You hold your breath, your eyes fixed on the sliver of darkness beneath it. No shadow blocks the light. After a moment, the shuffling continues, moving away towards the living room. You remember the rocking chair. The rocking chair in the living room is not to be used. A cold knot tightens in your stomach. Is someone, or something, using it? But you hear no telltale creak of rockers on the floorboards. Only the soft, fading shuffle. The sound isn't one of menace, but of routine. It's the sound of the other resident making its own nightly rounds, checking that the rules are being kept. The house has its own rhythm, and your forgotten knock at the basement door was a disruptive, off-key note. Now, the resident is re-establishing the melody, moving through its domain to ensure all is as it should be. The fear you feel is not of a monster, but of a landlord conducting a surprise inspection. You lie there for a long time, listening to the quiet, purposeful movements until they fade away entirely, leaving behind only the deep, correct silence of a house where all the rules are once again being followed. The helpful presence makes itself known in small, quiet ways. The next morning, after the unsettling night of shuffling footsteps, you wake to find the glass on your bedside table not just empty, but perfectly clean, as if it had been washed and dried by an unseen hand. The simple act fills you with a strange sense of accomplishment. You had followed that rule perfectly, and this was your reward, a small, domestic kindness. Later that day, you can't find your favorite pen. You search the entire house, growing increasingly frustrated before giving up. As you're making tea in the kitchen, you see it. The pen is lying perfectly centered on the kitchen table, its cap firmly on. You didn't put it there. A wave of understanding washes over you. This is the other side of the covenant. You follow the rules, and the house, or its resident, offers its assistance in return. It's not just about avoiding disapproval. It's about building a rapport. That evening, you perform the rituals with more intention. You fill the water glass with care. You knock on the basement door with respect. And this time, the three-knock echo returns, soft and clear. The phone rings again after midnight, and you let it, feeling a peculiar solidarity with the silent house as it rang out into the void. When the shuffling footsteps return that night, the feeling is different. There's no pause at your door. The steps move past with a soft, steady rhythm, and you feel a sense of companionship. You are two beings, following your respective routines in the same space, bound together by a list of typewritten rules. The fear has been entirely replaced by a burgeoning, quiet curiosity. You are no longer just a tenant. You are a participant. The shadow in the hall is not a sudden, shocking apparition. It is a gradual accumulation of perception. You're coming back from the kitchen with a fresh glass of water for your bedside table. The hallway is dark, lit only by the moonlight filtering through a window at the far end. As you pass the entrance to the living room, you see it from the corner of your eye. A tall, dark, humanoid shape standing just inside the room. Your breath catches, but you don't freeze. You don't run. You've learned the etiquette of this house. You continue your slow, measured walk down the hall, keeping your gaze forward. In your periphery, the shape doesn't move. It doesn't lunge or reach out. It simply stands. And you know, with a certainty that settles deep in your bones, what it is doing. It is checking the water glass in your hand. It is ensuring you are following rule number 3. You reach your bedroom, step inside, and place the glass on the table with a soft, definitive clink. You risk a glance back into the hallway. The shadow is gone. There is no sound of retreating footsteps. It was just there, and then it wasn't. The encounter should have been terrifying. Instead, it feels procedural. The shadow isn't a monster, it's a superintendent. Its presence isn't a threat, but a reminder of the contract you've entered into. The house has a form, or at least a representation of its will, and it is deeply, fundamentally invested in the maintenance of order. You get into bed, pulling the covers up to your chin. You look at the water glass, then at the empty doorway. For the first time, you feel not like you're living in a haunted house, but like you have a roommate. A very particular, shadowy roommate who is very serious about the house rules. The broken trust comes from a place of human concern, which makes the house's reaction all the more jarring. It's 12:30 a.m., and you're drifting to sleep when your cell phone vibrates violently on the nightstand. It's your sister, her contact photo flashing urgently. She never calls this late, worry overriding everything else. You answer in a hushed voice. "Hello. I just got home. My power's out on the whole block. Can you check if there's a storm there? She asks, her voice laced with fatigue. It's a perfectly normal, reasonable conversation. But as you whisper no storm here, everything's fine. You feel it. The house, which had been resting in a state of quiet contentment, suddenly hardens. The air grows thick and cold, a physical weight that presses down on you. The line crackles, and your sister's voice cuts out. Hello? You're breaking. The call drops. The landline phone, the old relic, begins to ring. It's a shrill, angry sound, demanding to be answered. You have broken rule number 2. Never answer the landline phone after midnight. You answer the phone. The house does not recognize the distinction between a cell phone and its own landline. A rule is a rule. The hostile cold intensifies, seeping through your blankets. The shadow you saw in the hall now feels present everywhere, a looming, silent judgment radiating from the walls themselves. The friendly, helpful presence is gone, replaced by something cold, alien, and deeply offended. You hang up your cell phone, your heart pounding. The landline continues to ring, each peal an accusation. You have violated the terms of your tenancy, and the house is no longer a sanctuary. It has become a courtroom, and you are on trial. The apology is not spoken in words, but performed in actions. You know, with an instinct deeper than fear, that you must make amends. The landline's angry ringing is the problem. It is the sound of the broken rule, and it must be silenced, not by answering it, but by correcting the imbalance you created. You throw back the covers, the cold air biting at your skin. You ignore your cell phone. You ignore everything but the ritual. You walk to the kitchen, your every step feeling monitored and judged. You take a clean glass from the cupboard, fill it with cold water from the tap, and carry it back to your bedroom. You place it on the bedside table with deliberate care, the clink sounding like a tiny bell in the tense silence. You then turn to face the empty hallway, where you know the presence is watching. I'm sorry, you whisper into the darkness. I forgot the rule. It won't happen again. You stand there, shivering, waiting. The landline continues its shrill cry for another 3 rings. Then, on the 4th, it stops. The sudden silence is absolute. The oppressive, hostile cold in the room begins to recede. Not all at once, but like a slow, reluctant tide pulling back from the shore. The heavy pressure lifts from your chest. You feel the watchful presence linger for a moment longer, assessing your sincerity, before it too withdraws, fading back into the fabric of the house. The crisis is over. The rules have been reasserted. You crawl back into bed, exhausted. The empty water glass a stark white symbol in the moonlight. You have been forgiven. The trust, though fractured, has begun to mend. The house has accepted your apology. The understanding dawns with the first gray light of morning. As you lie in bed, watching the room slowly illuminate, the events of the night rearrange themselves in your mind. The rules were never to protect you from the house. They were a guide, a user's manual for coexisting with its other, long-term resident. The shadow isn't a ghost in the traditional sense. It is the manifestation of the house's memory, its personality. It craves order, routine, and respect. Your transgression wasn't a moral failure, but a social faux pas of the highest order in this shared space. The empty water glass, the returned pen, the shuffling footsteps, they weren't the acts of a paranormal entity. They were the habits of a roommate. A roommate who is quiet, tidy, and has very specific preferences about how a home should be run. The fear has completely evaporated, replaced by a weary, profound clarity. You are not a victim of a haunting. You are the new person on a very well-established lease. The list of rules wasn't a warning. It was an introduction. You get out of bed and begin your day, performing the small rituals not out of obligation, but with a sense of mutual respect. You knock on the basement door and smile faintly when the echo returns, a polite good morning. You hum a quiet tune to yourself, almost hoping to hear a response from the attic, a duet partner you haven't yet met. The house feels calm, content. The tension from the previous night is gone, replaced by the quiet harmony of a lesson learned and a balance restored. You are learning its language, and in return, it is offering you a place in its world. The new roommate is a title you now wear with a quiet sense of belonging. The days settle into a comfortable, predictable rhythm. The rules are no longer a list of restrictions, but the framework of your shared existence. You knock. You leave the water. You let the phone ring. In return, the house maintains a perfect, serene order. Lost items reappear in plain sight. The air is always fresh. The floors are always clean. The shuffling footsteps in the night are no longer a source of anxiety, but a comforting sound, a reminder that you are not alone. One evening, you are reading in the living room. Without thinking, your gaze falls upon the rocking chair. For weeks, you've avoided even looking at it. But tonight, a new thought occurs to you. The rule isn't fear the rocking chair. It's the rocking chair is not to be used. It's a statement of fact, not a threat. You realize the chair isn't dangerous. It's simply occupied. It is the resident's favorite seat. The shadow you saw was likely just settling in for the evening. You look away, a soft smile touching your lips. You have passed the final test. You understand the nature of your tenancy. You are not the owner. You are a co-inhabitant, a steward. As dusk settles, you fill the water glass and place it carefully on the nightstand. You can feel a gentle, approving warmth in the air. The house is at peace. You are at peace. The contract is complete. The list of rules was not a barrier to a happy life here. It was the key. And as you drift to sleep, you listen for the soft, familiar shuffle in the hall. A sound that no longer means you are being watched, but that you are home. The house is quiet now, holding its breath in the deep, contented silence of the night. The rules have been followed, the balance has been restored, and a gentle, mutual understanding has settled over every room. The shadow is at rest, the water glass is in its place, and the rocking chair sits undisturbed in the peaceful dark. There is nothing more to do, no rules left to remember. Your part in the nightly ritual is complete. Let the profound stillness of the house wrap around you like a soft blanket. Let your breathing slow to match its silent, steady rhythm. The day is over. The watch is done. You are safe. You are home. Now, it is time to let go, to release the last threads of thought, and to sink into a deep and dreamless sleep. Sweet dreams.